Okay, Daniel, can you see my my screen?
Yes, I can.
Great, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar on Userful, a software solution that creates stunning network video walls simply and easily. BTX introduced Userful at InfoComm, and there was immediate interest because the system enables anybody, even me, to set up a standard or artistic video wall using a browser with drag and drop ease. I'm Kim Robbins, Senior Marketing Manager at BTX, and I'll be your host throughout this session. Joining me today is Daniel Griffin, Vice President of Userful, and he'll be presenting the Userful Solution. Daniel's been with Userful since it was founded back in 2003, and he's been spearheading the partner program since its launch in 2014. He has 3 beautiful daughters, and in his spare time, he likes to read, travel, play music, and spend time with his family. He's spent the majority of his career in technology, but every now and then he still has to ask one of his kids for help with his iPhone. So everybody, we'd like to make this as interactive as possible, so please use the question area on your toolbar, and we'll answer as many questions as we can throughout the next 45 minutes or so. For nearly 50 years, BTX has been the premier AV distributor of emerging technologies, signal processing products, and integration essentials, offering our customers access to solutions to grow their business. Our focus lies firmly in creating value for delivering outstanding products and outstanding service. BTX supplies many thousands of the finest interface, integration, and systems products, as well as engineer our own unique and patented solutions. We have deep technical expertise on all of the solutions that we provide, and our applications engineers, inside and outside sales teams are readily available to help you specify, purchase, and then support your project requirements. Our full product line card offers thousands of products to make implementation of your projects run smoothly. Among the many key integration building blocks that we provide are custom cable assemblies, custom plates and panels, video extenders, signal distribution, and cable management. When you work with BTX, you work with a team of people whose mission it is to bring you new ideas to excite your customers, enhance the elegance of your design, and drive revenues and profits to your bottom line. Please note that on your toolbar you can see handouts, and I've made 2 available. One is a brochure about Userful, and one is the slides of the presentation that Daniel is going to be going through today. So with that said, we'll go on to the main attraction. I will give Daniel control of these slides now. So Daniel, you should see.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here and bring up the first of the slides. Can you see that there, Kim? Can everyone see the slides now?
Yes, I can see it.
Terrific. All right, thank you, Kim, for the great introduction, and thank you everyone for taking some time today to join us to learn more about Userful and the video wall application. I'm going to just cover a broad range of topics here and try and do it in a way that answers your questions as we go, but as Kim said, please feel free to text in the questions and we'll pause now and then to address them. I'll start with a brief introduction about the product and the company, talk about features and functionality, the value it brings to your markets, and a guide to how to take it to your customers, and then some resources as well. First, though, a bit about the company itself. Userful has been selling virtualization solutions for 10 years now. We've deployed over 1 million desktops worldwide. If you ask people about the largest virtual desktop deployment in the world, they probably think of VMware or similar products, but it's actually us. Userful is the software behind the government of Brazil's education initiative, which deployed hundreds of thousands of desktops across the country. So this video wall product is actually built on that same platform. So this is not a new product, and it's a new use case for a product that's been in the market for many years and highly successful in the virtualization space. One of the key things that while we talk about this as a video wall, it does a lot more than just put video onto a wall of screens, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It creates a simple and very flexible solution that allows customers to transform public spaces and delivers a strong return on investment for its users. So a bit more about video walls in the marketplace today. many of you joining may know how in-demand video walls are. If you just intuitively think about it, in today's era where people have 50-inch screens at home to watch sports on the weekend, that same 50-inch screen in a public space is not going to command the attention that it used to. Digital signage is a proven way to attract customers' attention, to deliver messages, and yet standalone digital signs are no longer enough to cut it. And so people are looking at ways of sort of escalating that. They're putting groups of screens together, angling them in different ways, making things interesting and exciting for the eyes to attract attention. Of course, this is one of the key forces behind the amazing growth in video walls. So you can see some of the stats there about the rapidly growing demand for video walls. The market size expected to reach 17 billion by 2020, according to a study by Markets and Markets. And in the first half of 2015, shipments of the ultra-thin bezel displays, which are often used for video walls, are up 31%. So it's growing rapidly, but there are still challenges in the video wall market. Cost and complexity have been drags on the market, and a lot of folks that do want video walls are turned off by the price tag or the complexity. And that, of course, is what we are here to change. So quick introduction then to the Userful solution, and then I'll go into a bit more detail about how it works, and that's a good time to pause for questions. But let me just cover briefly what we do on this slide. We take a single Core i7 PC, a standard PC, and our software turns it into a video wall appliance, into a video wall controller. That single PC can support one or multiple video walls up to a total of 25 screens. So that can be in a single 5x5 or multiple smaller arrays. We work with any display, so it's not just commercial video wall displays, which are obviously cost a premium, but any screen at all. We work with resolutions of 4K and even larger in video, Flash, HTML5, 3D games. It also supports screen rotation and non-standard, what we call artistic layouts, and you can see an image of that on the right-hand side, where different displays are at different angles, and also there's a mix of display sizes. It's all centrally configured and managed through a web browser, and I'll show you a bit about that in a few minutes. And key to this, it supports interactive video walls. You can put content on in real time, so whether that's a Twitter feed, or whether you're wanting to display a desktop and actually work on it, or simply a browser that's interactive, you can do that as well. It supports HDMI capture, and again, I'll talk in a bit more detail on that. You can have multiple HDMI capture feeds at once, so multiple inputs to a single output or multiple inputs to multiple outputs, and it also can support live TV. So how do we do all that? And as I said, let me cover a bit more on this slide, then Kim and I'll pause a bit for any questions to catch up. But this is a great diagram to explain a bit about how it works. So when we talk about something being network delivered, we're talking about a standard network using standard protocols. The PC can sit anywhere on that network, and it's a standard computer, Core i7. We work with the Intel chipsets. It uses both the CPU and the GPU, so it is important that's why it's important to get the Intel chip, because we've built-in support for their 4000 series HD graphics cards. So you don't need to buy expensive add-on graphics to get the benefit of the power of the graphics card. You just use the onboard Intel graphics. And our software turns that PC into a browser-managed appliance. And what do I mean by an appliance? Well, it's like your fridge or your stove. It does one thing and it does it well. You set it, you forget it. It doesn't require a lot of intervention. So our software turns this PC into a video wall appliance. It's able to support video walls, deploy video walls. That's what it does, and you manage it through your browser, much as you might your router. You log in when you need to, set it up, and then leave it. Now, it works with a standard gigabit switch and then connects to zero clients, which are on the back of each display. And so what is a zero client? Well, a zero client is a network addressable video card. It is a small device that has no processor, no hard drive, no memory. It comes out of the virtualization space, which of course is our background. Many of you might know what a thin client is. A thin client is a thinner computer that's the endpoint for a virtualization network. It delivers a desktop through that thin client. Well, this is a thinner than thin client, so they call it a zero client. There's not a processor, there's not a hard drive. It is really just a video card and a USB hub that's put out on the network and is addressable through the network. And so one of those devices goes on the back of each display, but it does none of the processing work. It does none of the rendering work. Everything is done by the CPU and the GPU. And that's why for dollars spent and CPU power and GPU power purchased, this is by far the most efficient solution on the market. Everything is done centrally. That means we crop, rotate, split the signal on that PC. And when delivering 4K and larger content, in order to make it work through the network, we don't bother sending each display the entire 4K signal. The PC splits the image in advance in real time, in real time, not in advance, and sends that out over the network. So I realize I've gotten into a bit of technical detail here, and what I might do is just pause, see if there are any questions, Kim, that have come through on the chat, and if there are, I'll try and address them now before we go on.
No questions have come in so far, so
right.
They may be viciously typing, but
no, we also could just be brilliantly clear. So I'll just I'll just carry on, because the next slide is a bit more about the zero clients I was talking about. So this is a picture of the zero client that BTX has available. It is a low-cost device that has a long life, in part because it doesn't have that processor on it. So it doesn't get old as you're looking for new animations, more power, more exciting images on the video wall. You don't need to replace this. You can just replace the PC. Another interesting thing about it, so you expect a life of up to 10 years. There's no moving parts in it, so if it's in a hot environment or greasy environment, you don't need to worry. It's not going to get gummed up. It will continue to work for a long period of time. It connects to a screen using HDMI or VGA. It's got both outputs on it, and you can see the mini HDMI port on the left there. It is also powerable through a USB to DC power cable that allows you to power it through the display. And so you can power it obviously with a power adapter, but you can also power it on the USB port of the display, which is another reason it's very attractive. There's a note at the bottom there that is important to pair it with a supported PC or server. I'll talk a bit more about that, but as I said, the Intel family is the one that we work with, in the 4th generation in particular, and depending on the size of the video wall you're deploying, you'd want a Core i5 or a Core i7.
Daniel, what sort of bandwidth is required for each display?
Good question. So the network has to be a gigabit network, and that is the only requirement on the network side. You can isolate the traffic from the internet traffic if you wish to. You could put 2 NICs into the video wall server, which would allow one to connect to the internet and the other connect just locally and support the zero clients. But there's no need for that. It will sit perfectly fine on your subnet within your existing network, and a gigabit switch is needed. It doesn't need to be a high-end gigabit switch. In fact, it's better that there is no packet shaping on the switch. You just want to let it run at gigabit capacity. So that's the only requirement there on the switch.
Thank you.
The next slide is about setup. And we're going to take a quick look at how the solution is configured here. I mentioned that it's browser managed. Everything that you need to do to control that video wall server can be done through the browser. And I'd just like to hop over to that interface here and show you how it works. This is the Userful Control Center, and this is what you log into. And you can log into this from a laptop or from anything that's on the network. You can even log into it remotely if you've got port forwarding set up. This is a graphical interface that allows you to configure the video wall. So I always like to show the artistic one first, because this gives you an idea of how powerful this tool is. This allows you to configure just about any type of layout you wish. So you can angle the displays at single degree angles to any angle you want to. You can also place them anywhere on the canvas that you want. You can see the image adjusting as I do that to allow space in between. You can also, of course, have multiple sizes of displays, and the solution recognizes the display resolution and aspect ratio and represents it accurately here. When doing the setup, the same image appears on the displays that appears here, so you're able to use the drag and drop as well as the angle rotation to match your canvas perfectly to pixel match to what appears on the display. I can add new displays as I go here and move those around as well. That's what we call the artistic layout. So any angle rotation, any type of display can be supported, and you can support a mix of displays as well. We also, of course, support grid layouts, and you can see that here. Again, you can control the bezel quite simply through adjusting the padding on both vertical and horizontal. You can also start with artistic and then, start with grid and then switch to artistic and change the angled displays, drop displays out, etc., etc. Now you'll see on this image that along with the two video walls I've set up here, there are individual displays. And these also can be managed through the same interface. So you can have individual displays as well as video wall. Along with setting up the video wall, this allows you to direct the content onto the video wall. So here's what I mean by that. We are not a content management system, but we do integrate content management systems. So we're working with a variety. Some of you may have just seen an announcement with UIE Experience Manager, our latest integration. There are others available as well. And that's one way to put content on the video wall. There are a few other ways to put content on as well. I might just hop over and show you a slide of how content works, and then I'll come over and give you a bit more of a detailed representation. This is an architectural diagram. If you want to spend some more time looking at this, those slides are attached, as Kim was saying, as the handouts here, so feel free to download this and study it in more detail. But there are essentially three streams of content that we work with, and you can see those below the control center. So the control center is what we look at. You access it through a laptop, tablet, desktop, etc. And on that, you set up the video wall, and then you control which content is being directed to that video wall. So it can be interactive content. What we mean by that is a desktop, a full-screen browser, something that is interactive with the audience or with an administrator. Or it can be real-time content. So that is content that could be streamed through HDMI. I mentioned we support HDMI capture cards. You're able to support up to 4 and even 8 streams of HDMI onto the video wall through HDMI capture cards. You can also use real-time streaming from the internet. Just set up an IP address to direct to pull the content from, or you can have managed content. So that's from a content management system. For example, Rise Vision, which is one integrated one, or Signage Live, and we're also working with NetDisplay, which I know many of BTX's partners use, so that's an important one for the audience today. The PADS HTML5 viewer we're soon to support as well. So those are the different streams, and you're able to set them up again through this interface. So on the left-hand side here, you can see all the different content options, and in this scenario, all 5 of those is available on each of these video walls. But you could also move them around, and so if I wanted this video wall only to be able to display the content through the HDMI capture card, I'd simply drag it over and play it like that. And this allows me in the bottom right here, hand corner here, you can see that's autoplay. Now I can turn autoplay on, which allows it to, as soon as the PC is on, it will automatically play this content. I can turn autoplay off, or I can turn it on. If there's more than one option available, you'll see autoplay won't be on, and if you reboot the server, you'd have to choose which of those content streams you wanted to appear on the video wall. So you can have one or multiple content streams on the video wall, and you can actually switch back and forth between them. And that's important in certain use cases. I'll take an example of an education institution that has a video wall outside their auditorium, which they use either to display content messaging through a CMS or switch over to a live stream when the auditorium is in use, so that those outside the auditorium can see what is going on inside the auditorium. So that's a perfect example of needing two different content streams which you can easily switch back and forth between. Let me switch back over. Let me pause there. Sorry, any questions?
Yeah, we actually do have a few questions that's come in. So first question, if you are using a 3x3 array of 19x20, 1920 by 1080 each, what is the resolution of the resulting video wall? Is it a function of the single server graphics card?
Good question. It's a function of a few different things. It's a function in part of what the actual content is. And so, 4K content would be, what the graphics card on the CPU, sorry, the graphics card on the PC, the Intel graphics card can support resolutions of 4096 by 4096, so it's sort of twice as big as 4K. It's 4,000 pixels in both directions. We have started working with graphics cards that give larger resolutions than that. There's an NVIDIA graphics card that we're looking to support this fall that's going to boost the resolution size. But that is one of the holdups on larger content. The other holdup is, H.264, for example, does have a limitation of 4K. HTML5 and other dynamic content can scale much larger. So there's a few different things that are holding it up. But essentially, it's dependent on the resolution of the content. And so obviously, if you come in with 1080p content, we can't make it 4K content, but if you come in with 4K content, we can display it at 4K on that 3x3 array. Although when you run the numbers, 4K content on the 9 displays, you divide it up and you'd realize that's actually 720p per display. So I don't know if that's answered the question, but there are a few different possible points at which you'd see limitations just depending on what content you're using and the resolution of it. But our solution is scalable based on the CPU and the GPU, and we're looking to support video cards that'll take us beyond the 4,000 by 4,000 pixels that we're at right now.
Okay, so you may have sort of answered this, but I'm going to ask it.
Sure.
What is the frame rate of the display of full motion video in HD?
Yeah, 30 frames per second.
Okay. So here's another question. Can you switch between one large image across a 3x3 wall and then to 9 different individual images, one on each display, or the combination of images across?
Like great question, and absolutely we can. That's a couple of slides down when I talk about zones. In fact, let me just finish addressing any questions on the interface I was just showing, and then I'll jump into zones, because that's a great question, and we absolutely do support that use case.
Okay, so that was the last question that I had.
Okay. Terrific. So I covered a bit about how the solution is set up and that interface for browser management. One point I hadn't made yet is that you can put 2 servers on the network to support one another. So one server can automatically inherit the 0 clients of the other server should it go down. You do still need to reconfigure the video wall, but the failover is automatic in terms of it being able to inherit the 0 clients and assign them to a second server. I've talked a bit about this architecture diagram, and the next slide is leading us into that zones question. So at the outset, I'd said that the Userful is about a lot more than just video on video walls. And I've shown you a bit of that. Obviously we can put live content on web pages and so on. You can put up a desktop dashboard. You can put live content streaming from a TV or through HDMI, and of course there's also managed content from a CMS, scheduled content that appears at scheduled times and has the images, video, etc. that are chosen. But a key thing we also do is allow for preset zones. So those allow you to do exactly what that question was asking about, which is having at times all 9 screens being used for one piece of content and then breaking it up into different zones at other times. So I'll show you a bit more about this interface. This is actually new with 8.0. The release candidate is out today. We've had it in beta use for some time, and the commercial release is due out in a week and a bit. But let me show you a bit more about how this works. The image on the bottom right sort of illustrates it in terms of being able to break it up into different zones. But I'll show you a bit more about how we do that. So this is the control center with zones enabled. And so as you can see here, we have one 3x3 video wall, and you can see it now, but I've also got 4 zones within it. So the first 3 zones are simply columns of displays, the 3 different columns, and then the 4th zone is the entire 3x3 image. And with that, then each zone appears as a zone, and you can assign different content to it. So you can assign different content to each zone or different content to specific zones, but it will warn you if you're trying to play the same trying to play zones that overlap. It won't let you play, in this case, both the zone 4, all 9 displays, and also zone 3, which is just 3 of the displays. It would throw up a warning. But this allows you to set up content so that different zones can be supported at different times. Now, these zones are set up to allow you to choose which content goes on them. They don't have a scheduling system built in. If you want to schedule what content appears when, that's again done through a content management system. But this zone allows you to say, okay, we're going to use this video wall, all 9 displays, and then if you wish to change that, you would come into this interface and then change to the 3 different columns and could put content that's different on that. So it gives you the flexibility to preset the zones, set up different content for each, and choose how they're going to be used, and switch it back and forth in real time. And so that obviously is a key reason why we're now also supporting multiple HDMI inputs. So in this example, you might want to have 4 different HDMI inputs, one used for the all 9 displays, and then 3 others used for each of the columns, and that would be supported use case as well. And on that, we support both 1080p and 4K capture cards, and BTX can give you more details about those cards and how they work, and the particular supported cards. But they do allow you to input multiple different HDMI streams and display them in different zones. Let me slip back to this slide. I know someone had asked specifically about zones. I hope that's answered your question, but if not, just text for more details, and we'll answer that question as we carry on. The next thing I wanted to talk about is artistic layouts. Artistic video walls are important today because, of course, attracting customer attention in a busy world is a matter of trying to do something unique and different. And also, of course, there are many organizations out there looking to show off something unique, either in a flagship retail location or simply to have an artistic feature in their lobby. An example of this, there are some hotels that have been working with us. They want to replace the water features that they've got in their lobbies, which I guess have had some problems with leaking and so on, with something else that's cool and decided on an artistic video wall. Obviously, a lot of advantages over something like a water feature in that it doesn't leak, but also, of course, you can change it up, and so you can put great and compelling video about local attractions, or you can simply put messaging that's pertaining to the hotel location, or something about the chain, or simply lots of exciting looking videos at high resolution. So here's what we do that's unique. We do any angle rotation of individual displays. So it's quite common today to be able to rotate an entire video wall, to have all of the displays at the same angle. that's actually just source rotation. They're rotating the image, not the displays, but it looks right when you put it on the wall. What we do is slightly different. You can rotate individual displays to any angle you want. You can also mix different sizes of display, and you can see both of those features in this image here. There aren't many other solutions that do it, and those that do this sort of thing are much more expensive. So if you've got customers that are looking for something unique to express their brand, or you're looking for something exciting to be put in a lobby or a public space, this is a great solution for that. I mentioned a bit about live TV. Sorry, go ahead. No, please, sorry, I should have paused.
So Ken, we're going to go back to zones.
Okay.
And so can the zones be freeform, or are they limited to the display boundaries?
Great question. Yeah, so they are limited in this current release to the display boundaries. So zones are made up of groups of displays, and it doesn't cut across the middle of the display. So great question. I should have addressed that. So zones are groups of displays. Now, this is something we may be able to change in the future, and what I always say here at Userful is if you've got an opportunity that requires a feature that isn't currently supported, please talk to BTX and have them relay that through us. We of course are interested in hearing what you're looking for, and may be able to work with you on that feature, particularly if it's for a large opportunity. And so that's something that want to make sure that message is out there that we're a software company, and so we can make changes to this quite rapidly, unlike some other companies that do these kind of things that are really hardware companies, and so they're tied into a hardware platform that isn't nearly as agile. So as you see opportunities, if they require features we don't have, because we are a software company, we're much more agile and able to deliver those more quickly. I can't promise anything, but please relay your requests through BTX.
Thanks, Daniel.
Perfect. So let me talk a bit about TV support. So we do support live TV. Obviously, there's an option to do that through HDMI capture, but we're also supporting now USB TV tuners, so that allows you to plug a coax cable into that USB device, plug that into the PC. That allows you to put that one broadcast image across a video wall or across as many displays as are connected to that PC, so it can deliver the same content to multiple displays. And we are in the future looking to support iframe, which would allow content providers to put specific content around the TV signal, and that's a future feature that is planned. Now we're going to sort of change gears a little bit here. I spent a bit of time covering features and functionality, and what I wanted to do now cover a bit more about markets for the video wall, some of the opportunities to look for, resources, and so on. The first thing is just how it's broken up in terms of different package tiers. And again, please contact your BTX rep for information about pricing. But we have 4 tiers, one of which is simply called basic, and that's individual displays, digital signage, desktop touchscreens. If you remember back when I was showing the interface for the control center, you could do video walls or you could do individual displays. This is for individual displays. And then for video walls, there's 3 different tiers. Standard, which is sort of entry-level video wall, 2x2 video wall, that's offered at a lower price. It's simpler and certainly one of the more popular configurations. At the professional tier, that supports grid video walls other than 2x2, but also includes a mix of portrait and landscape displays. So that does allow some artistic rotation of displays, but just at 90-degree angles. And of course, that's anything from 5x5 and anything outside the 2x2 parameter that's set for the standard display. And then the ultimate video wall, which is artistic video walls, so that's any angle rotation of individual displays, but it also supports the preset zones. So the more advanced video wall controller feature of the preset zones is also in this category. So again, be in touch with the good folks at BTX if you want more information about that and how the pricing works. So let's talk briefly about some of the markets for video walls. Obviously, the markets are as broad as anyone who's wanting to put exciting visuals into their into one of their buildings, or and so I'm just going to touch on some of the quickest growing and largest of the sectors just to get yourselves thinking, but obviously this is not a comprehensive list. But certainly in retail, you know, there's lots of organizations looking for last meter marketing opportunities, and video walls can play a key role in that. It's also worth noting that this solution can support those individual displays, and there's even power over Ethernet displays. Again, you can get in touch with BTX about that. I'm not sure the status of that, but the same company that BTX works with for some of the other parts of the solution can provide power over Ethernet screens. Hospitality, so this is a flexible solution with a high visual impact to transform a lobby or foyer. I gave the example of the hotel that was looking to replace the water features. There's another actually that we're working with that are putting a video wall up in the lobby to stream down a webcam. I guess it's not really a webcam. Stream down a live video stream from their roof to show the view that's available and allow for an easier upsell. So rather than showing it on postcards the way they used to, they're now showing it on a video wall, which is much higher impact, and of course, you know, is helping with their upsell to rooms with views. Higher education is another great opportunity. You know, any large crowded space can use a video wall to distribute their messaging. But it's important to note that some of the flexibility that we've been talking about allows for other educational use cases. You can support desktops and you know, slideshows and you know, all sorts of other things through the video wall as well. It's not just about messaging, of course. Transportation is another key sector, so we've done some work in control rooms there where they're looking for, they're using the zones feature to allow them to put together a cost-effective and also simple control room solution, but also you know, wayfinding, notification boards, advertising, obviously. So the walk through any airport today, and you'll see video walls, and those are great opportunities to look for. Broadcast and entertainment, so in-studio use is very common. Lots of folks using them, newsrooms and studios and so on, with video walls in the background. Nightclubs, bars, restaurants, where they want to both use it for visuals, for promotional, for live TV, etc. Healthcare as well, hospitals and places that looking to again promote messages to large audiences in big spaces. And you know, we've been working with a couple of hospitals. The most recent, there's a video by one of our Korean partners about a hospital that they did, and you know, putting videos up to promote health and well-being, etc. Those are some of the opportunities, but of course the truth is that there are many more outside these sectors, and anybody that's looking to get their message across, that understands the value of digital signage, but is looking for higher impact, a video wall is an ideal solution for. One sector that I hadn't mentioned is quick service restaurants, where menu boards are you know, digital signage menu boards are growing in leaps and bounds. We are working on a solution that really comes out of the zones that I was talking about, that allows a restaurant to show their menu boards and then briefly switch to an animated display across all the menu boards, essentially turning it into a video wall for a brief period of time and then turning it back to those individual menu boards. So this is something that we've been demoing for a little while. We are looking to put it into a commercial release. It's not available today, that's why I put coming soon at the top, so just wanted to make that clear. But if you've got opportunities with quick service restaurants that are looking to do this kind of thing, please get in touch with BTX and let's talk about how you know, the timing for this, and you know, supporting you in a demo and getting things started, because it is a feature that's coming soon. And within this, I'm not showing it here, but you can also do any angle rotation. So you know, you could have these displays at a mix of angle rotations, so you know, a mix of portrait and landscape, for example, or any other angle, and again, have them as menu boards, then an animation across all, working as a video wall, then back to menu boards. Kim, should I pause there for any other questions?
We do have a few questions that have come in, so
great.
This is fine time to do that. Okay, so we're going to go back to zones.
Okay, yeah.
Very popular subject. When switching between zone configurations, can all content reside on the server alone, or do you need to grab content from multiple sources or PCs?
Good point. Yeah, so all content can reside on the server. So you could, for example, if I just switch back over to this, you could, for example, have as many, we call these session containers. That's essentially where the content is coming from. It's a bit of a, comes out of the virtualization space, but you can pull from any of these sources and create as many of these as you want. So you could have multiple network streams, or you could have multiple. We do support a local player, which is essentially a loop of video, and so you can have as many instances of that as you want, and you just name them differently. So it's one is loop 1 and the next is loop 2, and you can then upload videos to those loops and play them as often as you want. So you can have as many of those as you choose. I mean, it may eventually scale beyond, but I don't know what the limitation is. It's high enough that we've never come across that. And the same thing for any of the integrated content management systems. You can work with those as well to have multiple instances of Rise Vision, for example. I think that does that sound like it answers the question, Kim?
I believe it did.
Okay, great.
Another question off of the zones subject. Does Userful support Mac OS?
Good question. So we're actually doing a deployment tomorrow in the UK using Mac OS, but it's not using it the way you think. They are using HDMI capture to put their Mac content and images and so on onto the video wall. So in that way, with HDMI capture, we can really support anything, and that's the beauty of it. Now, it's not, the Userful server is always running just as it is, but we're capturing content from different sources, and so if you want to capture that Mac content, you would do it through HDMI capture. A little note on that for those that have content that's under HDCP, there are also ways to put HDCP through HDMI capture cards. There are devices that are available from Amazon. They're perfectly legal, perfectly normal use cases, and that is a way to put even HDCP protected content through a capture card, which normally aren't HDCP compliant, but there are devices you can get to sort of work around that.
Okay. And are we limited to a specific type of display?
Good question. So no, there's no limitations on the type of display. The Zero client from BTX supports both HDMI and VGA, and so those, as long as you can connect it to that, you should be fine. Now, obviously, depending on the type of display. There are certain displays, for example, consumer-grade displays that aren't warranted for long periods of time, so you might want to consider that when choosing those, but you're getting a big price advantage if using consumer display over a commercial or professional display. So those are considerations to take, but as our bezel size, for example, but we will support just about any display that's available. You could just be using computer monitors, for example. You could be using the TVs that you get at Best Buy, or you could be using the commercial displays that you get from manufacturers like Philips, NEC, and so on.
Okay. That was the last question.
Okay, perfect. So the next slide, I just wanted to touch on some of the key value propositions in the market today. This is a dense slide of text, but lots I wanted to get through, and I just wanted to be able to sort of share some of these briefly with you as you think about your customers and potential ways you might be able to help folks with this solution. One key thing when thinking about this is that if you do sell video walls, you're probably accustomed to the fact that you often are forced to juggle many different solutions. You might have one for control rooms that supports zones of different kinds, another solution for sort of an artistic video wall, and then other solutions if you just want a simple 2x2 or maybe something else for 5x5. Maybe you're doing something different when you need 4K. A lot of dealers out there end up juggling many different solutions, and our structure is that we've got one solution. It can be used for just about any video wall use case, but we do have those tiered prices which allow us to be competitive in just about every market. So those tiers are designed to ensure that you can have one solution and use it in many different use cases, and that's one of the big benefits of the Userful video wall. One of the things that is really appealing when we talk to our customers, one of the things they talk about is that a lot of times IT departments are being asked to run AV equipment, and they'd much prefer to be running IT equipment. And so we've heard that from IT departments in at a car dealership the other day. I heard it where they're wanting to run video walls and get high impact digital signage, but those guys are not AV people, they're IT people. And so they love the fact that Userful is using standard IT parts, standard PC, standard network, zero client, etc., instead of more complicated AV equipment. So it just fits in with their comfort level. So that's something to be sure to emphasize when you're talking to your customers, especially those that have an IT background more than an AV background. Another key point here is that video walls are about catching attention, and so the artistic video wall is a great way to do that, and this is coming at a fraction of the cost of some of the competitors like Planar, TV One, Sony Xeris. Another key point here is that a video wall in a box is an attractive idea, and being able to sort of bundle this solution together with displays, PC, and offer it as a ready-to-go video wall is a great one, and you can choose a specific size. The 2x2, of course, is one of the most common, so that's something to think about as you think about taking this to market. A lot of the high-end video wall controllers are also priced quite high, so if you've got customers that have been looking at using those different zones, they've probably been looking at quite expensive solutions, so please again talk to your BTX rep about how we can help lower the cost of those. Another great opportunity, again, thinking about the dealerships that I was just talking about. One of the things they like doing with the video wall is being able to switch back and forth between different content types, and so they don't just want to be displaying loops of video advertising their cars. What they want to be able to do is use it as a sales tool. So they switch back and forth between using it as a full screen browser controlled by a wireless mouse, and that allows them to take customers over to the video wall and show on that video wall things that they haven't been able to see in the showroom. And so they will walk them through different packages for particular vehicles. They will show them the colors available, the fabrics available, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not just video, it's actually a sales tool, which is what the dealership's looking for. And so there's certainly opportunities like that where that flexibility of being able to switch back and forth between something like a browser and something like managed content is highly attractive. And again, with SMB, a lot of companies need a solution that fits multiple needs. And so think of another particular use case of a customer that uses the video wall both for demonstrations of their product in their meeting room when they bring customers in, but then also use it essentially to act as a desktop and show slides when they're having internal meetings, and have also, of course, been using it when they're having staff parties and so on, and are able to show live TV on it for sports events. So that sort of flexibility of doing lots of different things with it's attractive within the SMB market. Earlier we talked about content management systems. Our approach is to integrate with different content management systems, and so we do have a few that we've integrated with already. We're always looking for more. If you've got one that you'd like to talk to us about, here are basically the criteria. A lot of content management systems are offering something web-based, HTML5 based, for example. Those are very simple to integrate with should be very easy to do. Anything that runs on Linux or Android is possible as well. Things that run only on Windows are a little less possible, but the fact is we can work with any CMS through HDMI capture. So we have a deployment right now going on in a stadium where the company wanted to use an on-premises solution that we couldn't integrate with, but they're just doing it through HDMI capture, and so that's not a problem either. So again, just about any CMS can run with this, but there are certain content management systems we can we integrate with on the server itself, so you don't need an extra player. Another great promotion is upgrading to 4K. So a great thing about our solution, of course, is that to put higher resolution content onto the video wall, all you need is that server. And so you put the server and the zero clients onto an existing video wall, and you can take it from doing 1080p content to doing 4K content. They keep the displays just as they are, they keep the infrastructure just as it is, and you just need to put the PC somewhere on the network, put the zero clients on the back of the display. So it's an upgrade promotion. Don't replace the entire video wall, just upgrade the content to 4K. And anybody that's interested in that will also be interested in the fact that as we add support for new video cards, we'll be supporting 5K and 6K content in the future as well. And all of the customers that are now deploying Userful video walls will be able to do that simply by replacing the PC. They don't need to replace the displays, the zero clients, the switch, the network at all. All they need to do is replace either the PC or perhaps even just slot in a video card from NVIDIA to get that boost to support. So that's a very attractive feature of our solution, that it's scalable in the future. You're buying into a solution that isn't limiting you to content size today. People see the uptake in 4K content today, and we know that 5K content, 6K content, people are going to want that as well. They're buying into a solution that will support that as GPUs support it. Just spilling on over to the next slide, a couple of other unique features and selling points, and then I will pause again for questions. I mentioned this earlier, the network delivery means we can have a backup server on site to reduce downtime. Another key point, we do support other types of displays, so I talked about touchscreens, desktops, digital signs from the same server. Artistic video wall configurations can really transform a public space, and that's a great unique selling point. 2 video walls from one server simultaneously. This is a customer of ours, but I was walking by one the other day. I think it was a Roots a clothing store, and they're on a corner, and they had 2 different video walls, each playing exactly the same thing, facing out onto each corner, and that's a perfect example of a use case for multiple video walls off one server. And I mentioned a bit about the future upgradability when 6K is common. You may just have to replace the video card, or at worst case the actual server, so you're able to upgrade quite quickly and easily in the future as you want to get more larger content, more powerful animations. Simple control room applications using those preset zones that we were talking about. The ability to switch to live TV or other real-time content is also very attractive. Of course, input from multiple HDMI sources simultaneously, so you can get 2 quad capture cards with 1080p, or you can get multiple single 4K capture cards slotted into the PC, provided your PC is able to take a full-size card. Those capture cards are full-size PCI cards. Okay, I've said a mouthful in these 2 slides. Let me just pause there, see if there's other questions about anything we've covered so far.
We do have another fairly technical question.
Okay.
So could you go over the addressing procedure for the zero clients and how it references back to the GUI?
Yeah. Okay. So it's talking about how the zero clients connect back to the server. So when those zero clients are connected to the network, they can send out a broadcast signal that the server picks up, and then when you plug everything in, you see all the zero clients on the network, and you select them. And you just basically claim them for each server. And you can also then set them up to a backup server through the same initial setup, so they can have a primary server plus a backup server. So that's what I was talking about in terms of failover. So they send out a signal through the network, they're claimed, and then all the packets are set through standard HTTP protocols. I've got to admit I'm not a networking expert, so I may bump up against my own lack of knowledge here, but they use standard protocols. We're not using Cat5 in some strange way. They just work through the switch much as any other piece of content. We are essentially pushing pixels out through the network. Those zero clients aren't, they don't have a processor on them, so we're not redisplaying or reprocessing that content at the endpoint. It is really just displaying the pixels that are processed by the server itself. I don't know if that's covered everything for you, but hopefully it has. If not, there's a great white paper that the BTX has about the Userful video wall. You can get it from any of your BTX reps, and I don't know, Kim, if you're okay sending that out at a later date, but that is a great, more technical dive into this solution, and probably has more detail on exactly what I've been talking about here for those that have a technical bent.
Absolutely, I would be happy to send that out.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, so another question. I clicked the link for the systems hardware guide in one of the handouts, but it doesn't mention an OS version for the PC server.
Ah, good question. Yeah, sorry, and I should have covered that. Thank you for raising that. Yeah, good question. So our software comes with an OS on it. So it is a single install DVD that goes on bare metal. it is built into the solution, so you don't need an OS when you're running it. Now, if you want to know what OS is run under the hood of our solution, it comes from Red Hat. Essentially, it's CentOS, but it's a Linux solution based on Red Hat Enterprise. Now, having said that, you don't need to know anything about Linux, right? This is not about Linux. This is about an appliance, and so it installs. You manage it through the browser, but you don't have any. This doesn't run on top of a specific OS. It installs on bare metal.
Okay, great. I just want to get more to that question. So it's the software. That's okay. So, all right. I think you answered the entire question.
Terrific, terrific. And we've got a couple more slides here, so there's enough time for a follow-up on any of those if I didn't cover it completely.
So some more questions. Sorry, Daniel.
No, fire away.
All right. So this one I'll answer out loud. So so on the BTX site, can you go over the 8 Userful parts lines? Which is a 0 client, or is that elsewhere? So on the website, there are actually 4 different Userful products that you can purchase. And each of those, the basic, the standard, the pro, and the ultimate, I don't know if you want to go back to that slide, where you talk about the different tiers, but each of those comes with the 0 client. So when you purchase this, you get the software and the 0 client for each display. In addition to that, there's annual maintenance. So each of those packages has the option for annual maintenance. I believe, Daniel, the first year comes with the solution. It's for additional years, correct?
So the solution comes with 30-day support and maintenance to get you up and running, and then the option is to purchase after that. So and a pitch on annual maintenance, because we're a software product, we do add new features in regularly, and the value of that isn't just in, of course, being able to get the support that you need if you've got questions and or God forbid there's any bugs, but it is getting the new features that are added to the tier that you've purchased. And as we were saying earlier, because we're a software company, we do update and add new features in. So it's unlike some AV products in the industry that are hardware based, and what you get is what you get. With this, you're getting something that grows and becomes evolves and adds new features over time.
Okay. Awesome. So I think that was
okay.
Then the last question.
All right. So the next slide is just about some resources that we've got for partners, and of course, speaking to the BTX dealers, through BTX you are all our partners as well, and so we've got materials for training, marketing, sales. I've listed some of them here. There's a sales and marketing training video, beat sheet comparisons. All these PC specs that we were just referring to earlier. There's also under marketing, I was just talking about this white paper about the technical side of the solution, a brochure which actually is linked off the handouts which Kim has put up there, the BTX 2015 Userful brochure, and a partner portal with documents, materials, and so on. In there, you'll find a sell sheet with two-page guide to the value props and how to sell the solution, 7 tips for selling more video walls, so looking at the market today, what people are looking for, ways to position video walls, the live self-service test drive of the Userful Control Center, we'll talk about that in a quick second, and email and proposal templates. All of these are available through your BTX rep, so talk to somebody at BTX if you're looking for more information about the solution or wanting to get started, and as you get started, these materials are available to support you in working with your customers on the solution. Documentation, you can see it below, it's support.userful.com, and then the product page is at userful.com/video wall. But obviously, BTX also has great information on their website. And Kim, I'm sorry that I didn't include a link here to that, but I'm sure you'll be sending that out as part of this. another slide about ways to get started, and then I'll pause again for questions. One option is a trial kit from BTX for BTX dealers, so it includes 4.0 clients, discounted pricing, and it's a great way to test it out and demo it to customers. Obviously, the idea here is to, seeing is believing, and we're totally supportive of people trying it out first. And that's a bit unique in the video wall space, where so many solutions are both so expensive and so complicated. The folks behind that solution don't offer it out to anyone to just set up and test on their own. We're the opposite of that. We do, and we'd love to support you in getting it set up, both so you can try it yourself and also so you can show it to customers. And then with that, you get an NFR license, first a temporary one, just so you can test it out, but then trust me, you want to carry on with it and work with BTX and your customers, we provide an NFR license for any of those tiers that we've shown there. A note on that you do want that Core i5 or Core i7 4th generation Haswell PC. We are working on Broadwell support. I believe it's coming out momentarily here as well, but until further notice, it's always best for the 4th gen Haswell-based PC. There is also a way to sort of play with it a little yourself before you go ahead and purchase that trial kit, and that is visiting demo.userful.com. That is the control center online. It doesn't actually change anything. You can play around with it all you want. It's not connected to anything, and each time you go, it will reset itself. But it's a great way to sort of get familiar with the interface, and so feel free to play with that. The zone support is still not on there. When we release version 8, which is what has the zone support, that will be added in. But the current demo version that I was showing you, demo.userful.com, has all the other things, but not that. And then, of course, the brochure and other resources that Kim's making available. But again, contact your BTX contact for more information, pricing, and so on. And we're certainly here, both BTX and Userful, here to help you get started. So be in touch with BTX and let us know what we can do. And that, my friends, is the last slide. And so a good time again to pause for any other questions.
All right, Danielle, while we do have another question, hang on one second. I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. So I'm just going to make myself the presenter again.
Please.
And so everybody has our contact information as well, our phone number, website, where you can send some questions. Everybody pretty much has all of my contact information, I'm sure. So we're going to go back to the server question. Can the software reside on an existing Windows machine, or does it need to be on a dedicated server PC since it's Linux-based?
Yeah, so good question. So, I mean, you could install it on a virtual machine on Windows, but it wouldn't function properly. I mean, I know I've heard people sort of playing around with that, but because of just the way virtual machines are resourced, you're not going to get the full resources of the machine. So if you wanted to just get to know the software, you could try that, but it's not going to give you the full experience. So even as I say that, I'm hesitant and wouldn't recommend it. The best way to do this is install on bare metal. There are ways to dual boot, and so if you want to test it out on a PC and you right now think, okay, I've got the great PC, but I don't want to give up all the stuff on the hard drive, you could either swap the hard drive out or look to partition the machine somehow. And I say that without being a technical expert, so please, before taking my advice, know what you're doing and how to do that, because I wouldn't want to be telling people to do something that then they end up overwriting their precious data. So yeah, that's the best approach. Really bare metal.
Okay, great. And I think that we have come to the end of the hour. Again, we've gone through so much information. The 2 resource documents that we have in the handouts, the brochure, and the slides from this presentation hopefully will help be a good reminder. We are always here to answer any questions, to work through first the online demo, and if you want a trial demo, just reach out to us. And I will be sending out a recording of this webinar so you can review it after the fact. And Daniel, thank you again for spending this time with us. It is so useful for our customers to get to hear the whole story directly from the actual manufacturer and be able to answer all these very detailed questions. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's a complete pleasure. Thank you for setting it up, Kim.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.